Can I come out my hole now?
Yes. Now it's time for you, Tom. Alright, Tom. Do you see this beautiful, cute little orphan turtle?
Yeah, did you kill its parents?
Maybe, but that's not important.
Okay.
Would you kill it for 32 diamonds or double it for the next person?
I'll kill it.
Alright, go for it.
No!
You monster!
No! You
You
monster!
monster!
Can I have my diamonds?
You
now,
monster,
please?
here it is.
Oh my God.
Take your bloody diamonds.
That.
And that is the story of how we came into possession of these 32 diamonds in my inventory. I'm Tompy92. Welcome back to the Artisan Collective. Now, before we get cracking into today's episode, I want to remind you all to like and subscribe to the channel. We are getting some steady growth. And, well, what have we been up to in between episodes? Because in typical fashion, I have done a few bits and bobs. If we head back down to our industrial area, we have finalized a few of the things. Ooh, spoilers there. Yep, we put a few of the things in place we mentioned in the last episode. We have a shulker loader going on here. We're just going to check we don't get attacked by slimes because they are everywhere. We have a shulker loader here where they're going to be taking in the rockets, and we have already got a real good supply of shulkers there full of rockets. And the other thing you might have seen that I've put in place here is a little mud farm. And if any of you are familiar, this is Ilmango's design, and we've got a bit of a supply. They're going to get me. I mean, I'd not long died to a slime. It pushed me out of this area, so I need to get some golems, need to get some protection up around here to keep us safe. But the plan for today is to cover the creeper farm that is behind me. It's been a little while now since we've put this in place, and it's obviously helping make our rockets, but it's looking a bit ugly. Colour's making some good progress, putting in some builds, putting in some paths, although he's got a massive shulker monster going on here. Perhaps we need to start talking some bigger and better storage, but it's about time really we put a build in, because it's been a while since we've done these over here. So yeah, let's try and find some of our blocks that we need for this build. One blocks that I do need is deep slate copper ore, and well, we've turned all our copper into blocks. So we invited our newest member to the server, Mazriel, to come cave in and spawn. Unfortunately, due to issues with my microphone, I'm not going to be able to give you the original footage, so I'm going to do my best talking over. So we set ourselves a little competition. Whoever came back with the most ores would win. I also offered him every diamond I had and would find in return for deep slate copper ore. Now, yeah, you're probably wondering who's going to come out better in this deal. So truth be told, well, we were also lighting up the caves under spawn, which has been long overdue on this server. I'm absolutely convinced I am no use at PvE, which is likely why I've never started a hardcore world. Could you imagine? It'd literally be over within a few minutes. Either that, or I'd never go caving to the nether or to the end. Seems like there's a challenge in there somewhere. So after half an hour of caving, avoiding mobs, running away from the deep dark, petrified, and getting lost over and over and over, we met back up on the surface. The competition, it was close. But Maze is new to the server, and well, I need very little these days from caving, so I offered it all up, including the shulkers, in exchange for that deep slate copper ore. And now we have pretty much everything we have to get cracking. Now this build is going to go up in 3 stages, because well, this is a big space for us to cover. You can see we've cleared out a little bit more of the landscape here. So the first area we're going to focus on is the area down here, and this is going to be in the darker tones, and as we move up we're going to get into some bluey tones and then into some kind of red and orangey tones covering the actual farm itself. So this first stage I'm going to just get it in place, and we will see what we have on the other side. And just like that, the first stage is complete. So what do we think? we can see a bit of the shape coming out. We can see we're trying some things. We are certainly trying some things this time. This is no normal shape. Well, it's a normal shape is, but the color and the gradients and the use of the blocks really help you make you look in certain directions. So you can see the darkness on this side here kind of draws you in, and it makes sense that this area is dark because, well, it's going to have this overhanging it, and yeah, and then it gets a bit lighter before then getting dark again as we touch the ground. Now, what would you think to the color palette? I'm actually really happy with it. We've used then like this banner through the middle here to almost put that gradient of dark to light, going from moss in that far left into some lime terracotta, bamboo, stripped bamboo, and bamboo planks. And yeah, I think it really works. I really like this. This is kind of a hint to where we're going to be going with the rest of this build. What I do like is if we come from afar, I mean, we're spoiling things here, but Colour is absolutely nailing his builds. This is beautiful. I'm not going to spoil it too much. But the gates are such a lovely little feature from afar. You know, they add this texture, they're the same kind of color, but they just create something a little different, a little bit of depth, especially here on the bamboo side. You know, you can just see there's a little bit of something going on there, nothing crazy, but it adds something to it. Now we're going to carry on playing with that kind of idea of adding small little details to take your eye to different places. And if we head around here, you know, we've done something similar. We're using the green tones on the wall side or on the mountain side here to kind of blend in. And again, I think we've nailed it. I think we really have nailed it. And say with these gates, I'm really happy with how it turns out. I think now it's time to do stage 2, but before we do stage 2, I need to head to the nether and get some more blocks. So following our trip to the nether, we do now have everything that we need to get cracking on stage 2, and we seem to have a guest on our shores. So shall we hit the time lapse? Let's get stage 2 up and running. And now stage 2 is complete. Now you can see really what we're playing here is with a bit of color grading and trying to use kind of damp areas. Now I keep realizing that my mouse hover is over the areas that I'm trying to talk about, which doesn't really help for you guys over on YouTube. But yeah, what we tried to do, we're playing out from this dark shading that we did in the bottom half with the mud in the corner. And then we're using these deep slate copper and, you know, making it just reach out into the bluey greeny tones. And I think it works really well if we take a little flight out and come on back in. And you can just see how it pieces together really nicely from afar, that everything just blends together. Now the darker greens and this mossy area here are obviously meant to represent a bit of damp. So we've got a bit coming off this window, then we have a bigger section coming off the roof and up the top here. Now we pretty much did a similar thing over on the other side. You know, we're not skipping details. We're using the same color gradients, and well, this actually took me a really long time to piece together because I had so many different blocks that I tried to throw in, so many different variations. But I think we've come out with something that works. It's not too in your face. It's a nice use of blocks. And yeah, it just pieces together really nicely. I'm happy with that. We're 2/3 of the way through. But before we do spend any time working on phase 3 rather, I want to spend a bit of time down here because we actually haven't done anything down here. And well, it wouldn't be a Tombi92 episode without doing some form of redstone. Now, I mentioned last episode we could do with a super smelter, so I'm going to put in a super smelter. I just don't know where yet. So here we have it. The super smelter is now in place. I haven't done any test runs just yet. I'm a little bit concerned about the placement because there is a minecart hopper in there right next to our area of main storage. I don't think it's going to pull anything out, but yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye on it. I mean, we'll see if anything has come in here yet. No, just some packed ice from the build. But before we can get that super smelter up and running and functional, we need some fuel. So let's take this down, shall we? Now, after all that mining, I actually haven't got as much coal as I thought I was going to get, but we can at least now give this a little test run. So we need to fill in the fuel in here, and that's heading down to this minecart chest down here. This is going to fill out all of the smelters here. You can see there's a real track that runs around the whole of the outside. Now, this super smelter was one that I found on Shulkercraft. I don't really know its full engine. I don't know fully how it works. I was just after something that would return all my items. You know, like how we've done with everything we've done in this industrial area. I wanted everything to come back to one point. The one thing that I've found when I've made my own is that, well, I've ended up creating dropper towers and all sorts. So this all handles that. We've got the use of the mangrove root and water source in them. And the minecart will travel through that. You can see that's where we're going to have our input. And if what I might do just to speed this up is head down here and fill that all in. So that's everything. You see, that's not a lot. From what I've seen, I don't think this is the most fuel efficient I'll get my words out. Fuel efficient super smelter. So we're going to have to see how it goes. But if we enter in our sand and then press this button. Huh. Why are you not moving? Okay, it would help if we finish watching the tutorial, but it should now work. Why is it not working? The only difference that I know of is that my fuel isn't full like the tutorial world, but this piston should be being powered here. That observe, yeah, so what's going on here? This is powered. Okay, yeah, so I need more fuel. This comparator needs to unpower this target block, so this sticky piston unpowers, which allows the sticky piston that I'm trying to allow to send out to go. Not quite the great start we were hoping for with that super smelter. It looks like we're going to have to do some work in between episodes and go get a load more coal. Ooh, I fell in a hole. And I'm getting attacked. Come on now. Come on now, almost took me out. Okay, well, we've attempted some redstone. Didn't quite go the way we wanted to. But when it's time to get to stage 3 of this build, I want to remind you to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed this content, and let's get to it with the final time lapse of the day. And with that, stage 3 is complete. Now, let's take a closer look. You might be wondering why we have this area. And yeah, I mean, that's fully valid. We have another feature to stick over in that area. But let's talk about what we have in place currently, because I love it. I'm so happy with the way these colors have pieced together. These blues coming out from the greeny, tealy tones are fantastic. The glazed terracotta in here is really nice, and it just adds a focal point. You know, you look there, you have to look there, and it just breaks away really nicely with the different colors of terracotta. before ultimately using netherrack. Can you believe it? We are building with netherrack, and it works. It has pieced together really, really nicely. And you can see then in that zoomed in, we've also played around with some different little features. So we're moving out from the mangrove wood, and then we're using some mangrove fences. Now, obviously, when you get a little bit further away, it's not quite as apparent, but then you go up here and we throw in a dark oak fence gate just to add a little different detail, a little bit of a different color. I'm really, really happy with this. And to say with this area, the colors are going to make sense once we add in that additional feature. It does look like it comes to an abrupt end there, and I promise it will all make sense after the next feature. Now let's head on over to the other side. And this is where we've played around with even more detail. We have some pipes coming up here, looking like a bit of a draining system. And if we carry on scanning up, there we have. We have used some glass panes, just sitting over the same colors. And now you can't really tell from here, but you just get a little extension out from the wall, so it's not all straight. If we carry on up, we should be able to see we've done it a little bit more here with the iron bars. Again, you just get a different texture coming out. And I thought somewhere, it must be on this one here, it's camouflaged that well that I can't even tell here. But there's a black glass pane here sitting over the concrete. And then we played around with another feature here, just adding in some red nether brick and some observers. I'd say I'm really happy with how it's come together. We've also got a different tone on the right hand side here. Working out from the grass, we've utilized different glazed terracotta and some different colored terracotta before ultimately working back to that netherrack. Then we've made a little kind of advertisement board, I think is really what we're trying out with here. That's kind of what we've got there. And I mean, I'm not gonna ruin the illusion, but I am. There's not a lot going up on top. We might do something with it. And there's also not a lot at the back here. Now, there is a reason, because, well, I don't really know what's going to go on up here just yet. I didn't really want to spend the time putting textures in here because, you know, it's not a known yet. Whereas the other areas we knew what was going in there. So I was able to do some colors and bring it off. This palette here, you'll see why it makes sense. So I think it's probably time we just go and stick that additional feature in here. And just like that, with the magic of editing, the feature is now in place. That's right, it's a sign with my name on, because how else would we know it's my build? And hopefully now you can see where we start getting into the brownish tones. We've been using this orange block, even though it's called red sandstone. Can you believe it? This is not red. That's red. This is orange, and some prismarine to make up the name on the outside. Now, we've also been and spent some frog lights. We'll keep Jade happy. Yeah, we'll keep Jade happy because we've spent some money in his store. But you can now see where the tones come away from. So we started with this bright colour, explosion of colour out the front, and start to move into those deeper, darker colours, the browns, the greens. The greens work off a bit of the prismarine and a bit of the sandstone here. It does work. And if we go around the side, I'll explain some more, but we've got those brownish tones going into the red tones, and again back to that netherrack, which still works. It's still beautiful. I'm so happy with how it's turned up. Now, we can't go too much further back because, well, there's some spoilers that we'll have to check out next time. And if you haven't already, go and catch ColourTongue's episode, because then, well, you'll get to see them firsthand. So over on this side of the sign, you can see we've used copper stairs to attach it because it's a big hefty sign. We need some good support, and it's a big building. So yeah, we need that support in, and then that's really where we're playing into those copper tones in there. Now, that netherrack is still kind of standing out a bit sore to me. I'm not sure how I feel. Let me know in the comments. And speaking of, let me know in the comments of what you think of this build. You know, this has taken a long time to piece together. A lot of different color palettes that we've not tried out before. A lot of different techniques with these glass panes that we've not tried before. Now I'm close, you can see just how many we have thrown in here. Now, as the source says, Do remember to subscribe to Tommy92 because that is going to be the end of today's episode. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed this build behind me. And if you have, do remember to like the video, and I look forward to seeing you next time.